morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Powder Mountain Consulting Group, and we're here to give a presentation on the misguided course, Chinese sourcing strategy. To start with the story, you guys all know about Kodak. It was an American institution for over a century. The founder was George Eastman, and he invented the Brownie camera in 1902. It cost $1 for the camera and 15 cents for the film. While it was a great innovation, it didn't last long. A German company started coming up with color film, and George Eastman saw this innovation and knew that it was going to catch on. So George Eastman invested in research and development for color. This kept him as the market leader. But as in 1980, Kodak management didn't see these new trends under their eyes. As digital photography started to gain popularity, they did not change their strategy until 2000. And they lost 50% of the market share in a 24-month period. This led to the filing of bankruptcy in 2012. So what I wanted to show is that upper management failed to notice trends in the technology boom in the mid-90s to late 2000s. They used old assumptions to lead their strategic planning. Plus, when they're late to market, they had wrong investments, which led to their demise. In the modern era, this can happen even faster due to real-time data, ERP systems, big data, and then the internet. So to stay relevant, you have to adjust to these trends quickly.
All right, let's take a step back a little bit and look at O.C. Tanner. Approximately 15 years ago, O.C. Tanner decided to take a big decision and source their Bravo box from China. With that success, they decided to form their original private label, Epic, and source that from China as well. Nearly a decade later, with this success, O.C. Tanner, within the last year, has decided to launch 3 more private labels, MU, Golio, and Topi. The goal was to grow each of these brands profitably by identifying the right products, categories, the right SKUs, and finding the right suppliers. Our question today is China the right supplier for this initiative?
So just as we have technological trends like the digital camera that Kodak didn't catch up to, there are also economic and strategic trends. And oftentimes what happens is that these trends are not based on real data, and that's what they call the bandwagon effect, is when people jump to do something just because everyone else is doing it. So managers are not immune to falling to the bandwagon effect and following those trends. So one of the biggest bandwagon effect trends was outsourcing to China, which was in the late 90s and 2000s. They considered this trend an automatic expectation to respond to competition. People didn't think twice about it. It was something that you just did. And they had lots of articles that supported it. But if you go back and look at these articles, you'll find that they're not based on empirical or meta-analytic data. Most of them are perceptual. They're based on surveys of purchasing managers. So if you're a purchasing manager and you're following this trend, you're probably going to have biased answers towards it. What you'll also find is that they only used single source suppliers for their research, and they only included successful examples, therefore further biasing their results. So research shows 3 types of costs for outsourcing to low-cost manufacturing countries, specifically China. The first one is static costs, and these are the expert's cost of the actual product plus shipping and customs. After that is dynamic costs, which are things like safety stock, paying for increased safety stock, or paying for quality issues. A lot of people do consider these in their sourcing strategies. But finally, one that people don't notice, which is mentioned in the case, are hidden costs, such as political instability and the cost of cash. So static barriers actually account for 12% of the total cost analysis. Can you guys take a guess at where the other 88% are distributed between dynamic and hidden barriers? All right. Well, as it turns out, and this is this analysis goes over several industries, so it's not specific to any one. dynamic costs account for 47%, and a lot of people do look into those when they're considering their sourcing strategies. But even when you do, you're missing out on 41% of the hidden costs. So another research looked at another study of 214 China-specific sourcing, measured performance by operating success, and something called the call-off ratio, which is basically the percentage of actual fulfilled orders to what you budgeted when you planned for volume. So the average call-off ratio is 75%, which means they met 75% of their goals, which is, so anything below that is not satisfactory, anything above that is satisfactory. So using those measures, operating performance and the call-off ratio, they found that 20% of their 214 China source cases were satisfactory. 33% were ambiguous, which means they had good operating performance, but they had lagging financials. Finally, 47% were actually, the vast majority were failures. Of these failures, they took 15%, they took 15 cases, which were randomly selected, and they studied an effect which they called the ugly twin, which is basically because you failed in China, you had to use another high-wage country supplier to make the same product so that you met your customer demand. So the y-axis here is the call-off ratio, and this is your price savings. The circles are China, and the squares are the high-wage countries. As you can see, most places had to compromise their savings in order to get good quality. Except for 3 cases, all of them had to compromise their savings in order to get good quality and eventually failed their China projects.
So as I mentioned earlier, there are certain hidden costs associated with sourcing from China and other foreign markets. As we saw in the case, there's 2 prevalent ones we noticed really much: extra inventory holding and possibility of a warranty from the poor quality of the products. We can only assume if we continue to source our 3 more private brands that will occur similar problems in the future. So we're not sure how we'll be able to handle these, so we did a little sensitivity to see how these 2 things would match. So based on the case, we had an estimated cost savings of around $600,000 for all the 20 SKUs throughout China. And we figured that the cost of a warranty claim would be around $20 per place, which was the average purchase price for all the China products. So the base case that we assumed was a previous 24% extra inventory holding cost and an 8% return from the broken plates, and our $610,000 in savings was actually brought down to $384. Now, we could anticipate that you would be more proactive and better at this, so we could be more in the high scale and agreeing potential savings of around $400,000 plus, depending on how we manage our inventory and warranty claims, I guess. And furthermore, she mentioned about political unrest, and Donald Trump is coming to office, and he has assembled a task force or a trade team that is very anti-China, and they want to impose a 45% tax, which he can do based on 1930s congressional dealings. So we would see a 45% increase in our total import landed costs, which would bring our cost of units quoted to around $7.99, which would then, everything else relatively constant, would bring our margin down around 14% at import, and then around 14 or 15% at total cost.
So given all the hidden costs that me and Brandon mentioned, why do people still source from China? Why do people typically source from China for low wage costs? So actually, a 2012 Oxford Economics study, 2016 Oxford Economics study compared wages in countries with productivity factored into them, and they found that leaving U.S. at 100%, China is only 4% more, 4% cheaper in labor costs. So let's say you had to hire like a security guard in the U.S. Maybe you paid them $20 an hour, but then you went to China and you'd have to pay 4 people $4.50 an hour. So you really don't reap those benefits because of productivity.
So let's take a look at our options. First, we have domestic, which that is a high-cost operation, and then it makes it unprofitable because it totally eliminates our profit margins on these products. Next is switching to a low-cost country. So moving directly to a low-cost country quickly would be high risk because of uncertainties in the culture and trade and infrastructure of the country without knowing, your unestablished suppliers, and then also long transit times. So our best option was dual sourcing to mitigate risk, and it aligns with OC Tanner's objectives, as OC Tanner is a specialist in appreciatology, and their goals are to impact customers and employees through recognition. To achieve this goal, OC Tanner must deliver consistent goods, on-time delivery, and a quality product. So, Powder Mountain Consultant recommended strategy due to the volatility of the Chinese market and the election of new President Donald Trump with his new policies and threats, along with the emphasized impact of hidden costs, sign of potential failure, and rising labor costs in China. We suggest that OC Tanner look to lower cost markets and also reshore with a reserve domestic supplier to combat the risk, sorry. And we suggest looking at Bangladesh and India. They have multiple free trade zones, which equivalates to no duties. Also, with OC Tanner, they established the 3 private label companies with only a year, so there's low expenses in establishing these suppliers in MU, Topi, and Volio. We'd keep Epic in China because it's an established supplier and has seen success. And this would be a gradual shift due to we don't want to make rash decisions, and the imminent threat of Donald Trump's trade policies with China has not been enforced yet. So we want to make sure that we can try and find the competitive advantage in these lower cost countries. Also, with this dual sourcing method, we're going to lower our inventories just in case we have to source from our reserve supplier because of expedited costs. It's cheaper to source from a domestic. Also, we'll have less stockouts because OC Tanner's about keeping a high service level. And then also, we have lower inventory holding costs. It also creates competition, which could reveal in price savings and reduce compliancy of the suppliers. And then we could, and that's the use of the low-cost manufacturing country to reap cost benefits while ensuring safety with their domestic suppliers.
Now we're going to talk about OC Tanner Zoo. Zoo sounds a little weird, like not an actual animal location, but just think about when you were a child going to the zoo as a kid. There's this one location with all types of animals that you would not get to see on a normal daily basis. Animals from land, sea, all different terrains of the world. But the one limitation you had was that you can only see this within the borders of the zoo. We wanted to discuss this a little bit and talk about OC Tanner Zoo, which in this case means zone of opportunities. Choosing to come out of China sourcing partially, they have the opportunity to look at multiple initiatives, different opportunities such as alternative sourcing options in numerous low-cost manufacturing countries, increasing their private label brands, but here in the United States and across the country, and taking advantage of different trade zones. But we want to make sure that, like, even with these opportunities, that there are limitations as well. But we want to look into creating initiatives that align with the company's vision while exploring like multiple cost-saving methods, but overall aiming true north and impacting every single customer that OC Tanner has.
So to tie to all of this presentation together, we're going to go back to the Kodak how a company, when facing a looming threat, there's a certain phenomenon that companies tend to do. Companies tend to see the future as a present state, or similar to the present, how our results will be matched in the future, and we can expect the same cost savings as our Epic brand. But that's not necessarily true, and there's other hidden costs that we might consider. Additionally, the economics are sort of blinded by price. We see the low price point from China, and we don't think that it is actually as low of a cost as we believe. So, in conclusion, we believe that China is reaching a point of saturation in a developed market. The cost savings are not as plentiful and viable as we thought they were once back in the 2000s, as the GDP is starting to slowly decline from its in relation to its federal direct investments. In addition to increased political uncertainty, we believe that China is not a viable option anymore. So we believe that with a dual sourcing between another low-cost manufacturing and a domestic supplier, we can continue our high customer service levels while maintaining our vision to create a good product at a right time.
So the book, $1 Billion Strategy, talks about this whole idea of staying in the misguided path, where these pilots, like who fly airplanes, have this euphemism called controlled flight into terrain, where you see the mountain, but you still hit it anyway. And that's the case with Kodak, where they saw digital technology but thought, hey, people still want film cameras, people still want this. And they eventually didn't factor those in, and they built this company. So now we're looking at immediate threats to us: political instability, rising wages in China, the fact that we haven't accounted for hidden costs in the past, and we didn't take the real facts into consideration when there was the trend of outsourcing to China. We're looking at that, and we feel like these are signs, and this is the reason that we chose to dual source outside of China. So we are Powder Mountain Consulting. My name is Lila.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Tui.
Brandon.
And we hope you enjoy the presentation.
Questions?
Is there a way we can get back to the slides all so we can kind of can you put the on the side so there we go, so we can go back to some of those. So that China negative sign right there, is that your end? That's probably the one you want on the end, right?
That was our foreshadowing.
Okay.
So perhaps you could summarize in a different way what you're, I think we get what you're alluding to. It sounds like you're saying O.C. Tanner is headed in the direction that Kodak went. Is that the case? How would you suggest that O.C. Tanner go forward immediately?
Our suggestions were to consider our immediate threats. So don't look at them and say, well, Trump's never going to do this. Well, China's always going to be a cheaper place to go. Well, this and that. And even when you do have like numbers backing it up, like, well, yeah, 15 years ago or 10 years ago, we did well in this Pepsi Cola bottle. Is what worked 15 years ago going to work 5 years from now? So we want O.C. Tanner to look at the signs and make the right decision for themselves, which is why we recommended dual sourcing. It's having a safe and secure backup plan for whatever it is you're going to do. Even if you're going to reap low costs because that was the goal of the case, to get low costs. So even if you're going to source the majority of it from, let's say, India, which actually does have lower labor wages than China, you're still going to have that backup plan. You're still going to be able to respond to an immediate crisis. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So it is a dual source, just not China.
Yes.
Dual source, not China, except for Epic, which we felt was an established brand that, from the information we have, is showing positive effects.
Mm-hmm.
So we suggested that one to keep in China and dual source in the United States, but not to look to an outside low-cost manufacturing.
that and with Epic, their main source of goods is like jewelry, which OC Tanner is quite efficient in producing, so that they could draw some of those functions back into their home and produce them actually in the factory in Salt Lake City, if need be.
Do you feel like you're maybe bringing in some additional hidden costs by dual sourcing? Now you have 2 suppliers you're managing, 2 logistics routes you're managing, potentially. So are those costs evaluated when you guys?
Especially when you're talking about countries that are not even developed yet.
Right, for logistics money.
So where do they even start? You suggested Bangladesh and India. Do they even have shows or supplier bases? Is the network set up for them to even find them there yet in those underdeveloped places?
Yes, so in those underdeveloped places, the infrastructure is not as good as China. But Japan is actually investing heavily in all the Asian islands in their infrastructure to make the Pacific Island area more developed to handle better business. It is through their economic ministry, so their prime, I believe it's the prime minister of trade there, that's investing in these countries, not just themselves.
And we feel that like dual sourcing does give you more upfront costs, but long term, it would be better than suddenly having to pay 45% of tax on all your goods or suddenly having to stock out and lose customers. We feel like this, we recognize that there's a cost to dual sourcing, but we think it's better than waiting.
Yeah, so the idea of having the domestic supplier is to become a bit more reactive, and we figured that the cost of having these 2 sources would be not as significant as losing a customer by not meeting the appreciation dates and stuff, which is really vital. You can't deliver late. So we figured that the loss of a customer is, or the cost of sourcing outweighs the cost of losing a customer.
Can you go back to slide number 9? I just want to look at that chart again. You mentioned there were three points on here that did not use quality. They were in savings. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, there were 3 points that they didn't lose any of their negotiated price savings, and they had better call ratios. So they didn't have to compromise their price savings for their quality. And this was a random sample of 15 of 47% failures.
Remind me what quantitative data you use from OC Canada to support this recommendation.
So the pure, so what we had looked at was the most 2 prevalent hidden costs or associated costs of sourcing in China, which was the inventory holding and the possible need of a warranty for these poor, or possibly poor products. So we found out like that the estimated cost savings based on our case was around 610,000. But if we had these associated costs just in this pure isolated area, these 610,000 is actually at best 473 under these assumptions.
And that's using the OC Tanner database.
Yes. Based on the price between a domestic and China supplier at the annual demand that they give us.
So basically you're saying they're not making as much money as they think they are.
Possibly, yeah. Because based on the case, they had those with the plates and the flash drives, I believe, with the extra inventory holding costing us 24%, so that 90,000 or 110,000 turned into 90,000. So we figured that that might happen with additional sourcing, but we might be able to handle it better since we've already counted that. So that's why we could go down to 60% and only 4% of returns compared to the 8% standard that was given to us. That makes sense.
Well, good job, guys.
Very good, thank you.
All right.